Welcome to my class today. We are still on data type. Uh, we are going to round up the remaining part of the data type and then move on to typecasting. And then subsequently, we'll do other lectures. Now, we've looked at integer, float, complex, under numeric data type. Now, we have done string, list, tuple. So, we want to look at, I'm actually going to introduce range in Python. And then after that, we'll look at dictionary and then we'll look at set. So we'll conclude. And then we can look at this Boolean too, just to elaborate more on it. Though I brought it in when I was doing numeric data type. So let's quickly look at one of the data type that is not in this my list, and that is range. So let's look at range. Now Python range. Range is in Python, range is considered a sequence data type. A sequence is an ordered collection of elements, and sequences in Python can be mutable, allowing changes to the element, or immutable. Elements cannot be changed after creation. The range type is immutable. It is commonly used for iterating over a sequence of numbers, especially with for loops. The general syntax is range, then in bracket, start, stop, step. I'm going to tell you what these parameters mean. So you're actually calling a range function. So this is a range function. And then you're going to supply three parameters to it, and then to act. Where start is the starting value, stop is the exclusive end value, and step is the step size. So we are going to look at all this practically. Now, that is looking at those three parameters. The start. The start is optional. That's what it means. It's optional. You don't necessarily have to supply it, but the system will know what to do. The starting value of the sequence, if not specified, it defaults to 0. That is it. Stop. This one is mandatory. That is why it is required. The end value of the sequence generated will go up to, but not include this value. So if you say 0 to 1, if you say the number is 10, so the sequence will be, and you don't specify the start option, so it will be from 0 to 9. So that is what it's telling you here. Step optional too. The step size between numbers in the sequence, if not specified, it defaults to 1. So if you are saying from range, if you say range 10, that means it's going to be, and you don't specify this start, so it's going to be from 0. And if you don't specify this step, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is what this parameter is stating. All right. Now, usage. Where do we use range? The range function can be used in various contexts, such as creating sequences, iterating over a range of values, or generating indices for lists. Using range in a for loop for I in range 5. Now you can see this now. I am supplying just one out of the three parameters. I'm supplying just one. So if I'm supplying just one, which one would that be? That would be this stop, right? So I'm going to practically show you. Now, since I'm supplying just one parameter to it, that means it's the stop parameter. Now, if I say print I, what is it going to show me? So I will show you that practically. Creating a list of numbers. I want to create a list. I can call range to assist me in doing that. So you can see I'm supplying the three parameters to range, which is 2, 10, 2. So what this means is that I need 10 integers, but I'm going to start from 2, and then I'm going to, my increment will be 2. So that will be 2. The next number will be 4. The next number will be 6. Next number will be 8. That is what this is telling you. So the list, the numbers in the list will be what I've just said, and I'm going to show you practically. Then I will print numbers. Then you will see what this list will be. So I'm going to show you that practically. Now let's go into our PyCharm so that we will see how I demonstrate these range functions as a data type under sequence. Okay, so this is our PyCharm, and in this PyCharm we are just going to look at the range. Now we say the range, if I call a range function, and then I supply this, so there's start, comma, stop, comma, and the step. So this is actually what is provided in range. So I'm just going to comment this out, and then we'll use that to do our work. So let's take that example that we saw, which is for I in 5, and then we say print out. I will use this range in a for loop. So I will say for, then I will call a variable I, right? In, then I will call my range function, and I will supply the stop value to it. So if I leave it, if I say 10, it means this is my stop value. Now you can see that there is this red underline here. What is it saying? This is a for loop, right? So I have to put a colon here. Now, then I will say print. I'm going to say print I. I will explain this. Now, what has happened here is I'm using a for loop from my last integer will be 10. But because I'm using a range, this 10 is not going to be inclusive. That is what I read in the theoretical part that I told you. So I am calling using a variable I in this for loop. Now, what does this variable I do? So in this range, since I didn't state the start, the default is going to be 0. So you should start counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, why do I put this colon? If I didn't put this colon, you will see an underline, you will see red there, which means syntax error. So it's already showing me syntax error. Now, why do I have to put that colon? For this for loop, I am saying for each of these iteration, what is the next block of code that should be executed? That is what this colon is for. If I don't put this colon, it's going to throw me an error. So the reason why I'm putting this colon, I told you that in programming, the punctuation marks are very important. Very, very important. The punctuations are very important. Now, so this colon is just simply telling me that for each iteration, the next block of code that should be executed is to print out the value of this variable I. So, sorry, that would have given me an error. So, range. So, for I in range 10, print I. Now, it's going to print from 0 to 9, which is 10 digits. So, I'm just going to execute this. So, you see, it's showing me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, why is this so? Every time this range picks the first value, it will put it in this variable I. And then I'm asking it to print that value before the next iteration. So that is what this is for. Now, if I state here, I say start from 1, I'm changing this. Now I'm supplying start value, I'm supplying stop value, but I'm not supplying the step value. So it's going to start from 1 instead of starting from 0. So it's going to start from 1 to 9. That's what this is going to do. So if I relaunch this again, now you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is what is going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if I change this again and give the step value, say I change this to 2. So it will be starting from 1. 1, then the next one will be 3, the next one will be 5, like that. So I'm going to just launch this again. So you see 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So that is what this is for. So that is range. The start, the stop, and the step. So it's telling me how, where it should start, where it's going to end, and then what are the differences, the range between the first number and the second number and the next number. So that is what this range is for. Another thing again I want to tell you is this, for this. So for I in range 1, 10, 2, and I'm saying the next block of code that should be created for each iteration is to print out the value. And now I can come here and say, I can add print, and then I'll put this, the next value is, now what it's going to do is this. For each iteration, it will print out, let's say I start from 1. Let me remove this one. Now, for I in range, this colon is telling you that this is the block of code that should be executed before the next iteration. So print I, then it will print this one before the next iteration. So you will see that it will be 1, then it will show you the next value is, before it will print out 2, the next value is, before it will print out 3, the next value is, before it will print out 4. Now, I'm just going to execute this for you to see. So can you see? It will print out the first one, the next value is 2, the next value is 3, the next value is 4. Now, this is indentation. Because of this colon, the next block is this. If I now come here and I put this here and I say print, this is the end of the range. Now, this one will be printed out after everything must have been printed, because this is a different instruction entirely. It's not in this block. So if I just execute this, now you can see it's showing me the next value is 2, the next value is 3, the next value is 4, the next value is 5, the next value is 6, the next value is 7, the next value is 8, the next value is 9, the next value is, this is the end of the range. Why? Because I am starting this at this point. Now, Python knows that the next instruction after this one, after the whole of this, then it's going to execute this. Now, if I also bring this out like this, it means that for every iteration, these 3 things will have to be printed. Now, if I execute this, it's going to give me a different, see, it will print out the first one, it will print out the value of I, which is 1, then it will print out the next value is, then it will print out this is the end of the range, before it will go to the next iteration. So that is what this indentation does. And this colon is just simply telling you that all these are the block of code that should be executed in the first iteration before it will go into the second iteration. So I need you to understand that I just decided to throw that in. So I'm going to put this back here. No? So this will give me a different output. So that is that for this range. Then I can also use this range to print out, let me remove this. So for sequence, so I can say number, which is what I showed you there. I'm going to create a variable number. Now, this number is going to be a list. Then I will say list and then call a range. Then supply my steps. So if I just supply 10, what I'm simply saying is that I want a list. So this number, which is this variable that I've created, is going to be a list. Now I'm going to convert, I'm using this, calling this range function to supply me list values, which is what? 0 to 9. That is what I'm going to supply as the content of my list. And then I'll put it inside this variable called number. And I'll print out this variable. So print number. So that will be a list. So I execute. So you can see that this is a list that I've created. So from 0, this is 0 to 9. So you can see the beauty of range. So I'm using this range to create the values for this list. And I'm putting it inside this number. So this number becomes, now if I decide to print out the data type, the class of this number, print, and then I call my type function and I supply number to it. What will it give me? To be the list class. So you see class list. So I'm calling my range function to be able to create the sequence, the number, the value of this list, and it is what? 0 to 9. I can change this one to set. I can change this to tuple. Since we've done tuple, I can change this to tuple, and then I will run this again. See, the class type is what? Tuple, and you can see that this is what? Parenthesis, not the square bracket anymore. So that is what you can do with this range.